This is going to be probably my favorite conversation with you guys because I'm literally just going to download all main points of how I'm really able to live and how we all should really be able to live a really abundant, fulfilling life. And now it's not just like a bunch of random things that are making up why I'm really in a position right now where I'm just so incredibly blessed. Okay, see, there's methods to this, and there's different areas of your life that we all need to get clarity on and really take intentional steps to work towards to get there. And so before we get into it, I'm curious, like, who on the live stream right now is above 30? Well, my birthday is coming up in March. I'll be 31, and I'll be expecting gifts from all of you. No, I'm just kidding. Well, see, here's the thing, guys. If you really want to live an abundant life and you really want to have this lifestyle of happiness and health and fulfillment, like there's 8 main areas that I'm winning in right now. And so I'm going to go over all 8, and then we're going to break down each category. So make sure that you're taking notes. I'm going to give you some action steps within each category if you choose to take them. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this the way that I do, because everybody does their thing a little bit differently. I'm just going to give you what's working for me, and if it works for you, I want you to examine it, and if it sounds good, add it into your life. If not, don't worry about it at all. No hard feelings. I just want to share with you what's working with me. So, the 8 categories. Number 1, spiritual health. Number 2, personal development. Number 3, health and fitness, baby. You know it. That's why we're here. Number 4, family. Number 5, your business or your career. Number 6, your hobbies. Number 7, your finances. Yes, finances. This is a huge part of our overall happiness. And number 8, the final one, last but not least, your relationships. These are the main 8 categories that I'm winning in right now, and I'm going to show you exactly why I think they're important, and then some action steps that you can take if you so choose. So number 1, the first category that is leading me to an abundant life right now is my spirituality. Now, this is one category that I really hadn't got clarity on until recently. Now, growing up, I came up in a Lutheran church. I was baptized Catholic, and so I've always been around the structure of the church and everything. And when I got into about high school, my parents divorced, and we kind of split away from the church. And from about the time to high school up until just recently even, I really didn't have a faith that I wholeheartedly believed in, that I wholeheartedly followed. And for a long time, like, I felt like something was really missing from my life, but I really just didn't know what it was. And so finding clarity in my spirituality has made a huge difference, because I think that it's important for everybody to figure out what their faith is and what they truly believe in. I mean, this is one thing that has just transformed everything about my life. How I feel, how I interpret situations, how I interpret other people's feelings. And in return from gaining more spirituality, it's allowed me the gifts of compassion and empathy and faith, but mostly love, relentless love at that. And so I think that another thing I've really gained from it is forgiveness. Like, that's another really big one, because in the past, man, if you knew me like 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I was leading a different life. And I mean that because I wasn't as forgiving. I wasn't as compassionate. Like, these are all qualities that I have learned through my spirituality. And so that's why I think it's really important. But also, I think that we all want to believe in something. We all want to believe in some sort of faith, because I just think it's in our nature as human beings to want to follow, to want to seek out other leaders and other mentors to help us shape our future or our destiny. You know, I just think that it's in our nature to do so. And so it really doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Catholic or Nation of Islam or Jewish, like it doesn't matter, because they're all beautiful. And so I would just encourage you to, if you're lacking this in your life, it will make a huge difference for you to go and seek it out and find what is right for you. Because whatever your faith may be, it's all good. I mean, the higher that the faith is in yourself, and the lower the emphasis that you place on objects and personalities, the simpler everything becomes. And that's just something that I've found to be true so many times over. One thing that I've really found to get in touch with my spirituality is through meditation. And I know some of you are going to be like, whoa, dude, I didn't come to hear about any faith or religion or, guys, relax. Meditation isn't some like weird thing where you sit cross-legged and surround yourself in salt or crystals and light sage. Like it can be like that, but it doesn't have to be. See, my meditation practice is so simple, and it's just something that I learned recently, like really recently, like last weekend. And I found what method works for me. And because it works for me, it allows me to just like go into this like really clear headspace where I'm not bombarded with all of these external thoughts about my businesses or my kid or my family. Like I'm just in a position to where I can just focus on me. Okay? Me. Number 2. Personal development is number 2. Why? Because who doesn't want to be better for themselves, for their friends, for their family, for the world? Like we all should strive to want to be better performing humans for everybody around us, because the more that we can do that, the greater the impact that we're able to give to others. And I've just taken a vow that I will not remain stagnant. I will never be stagnant. I'm always going to be growing. And that reminds me, do you know of a writer? His name is what's his name? Hosea Ballou. He was a writer in the mid 18th century. And anyhow, he had this quote that was, he said, idleness is emptiness. The tree in which the sap remains stagnant also remains fruitless. And when I heard that quote, like it made total sense to me, because anytime that we stop growing and we just remain stagnant, what happens when everything stagnates? It dies, and nothing good can come of it. And so that thing has always stuck with me. And so by keeping an open mind, by learning about these different ways that I can be a better person, I can be a better servant, a better lover, a better friend, like it's really changed my entire direction on where I've been going in life. One of the biggest ways that I've been doing that lately is by learning more about the concept of emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is really just like being smart with your feelings and understanding emotion as it comes up in situations, and then processing and reacting and handling it in the appropriate way. And so there's 2 ways that I've been learning to really handle emotion. And that's, first off, emotions that come up for myself. And I do that through gaining more self-awareness. And self-awareness is like, for example, if I'm angry, not necessarily like, if I'm angry, it's not necessarily a negative emotion. See, it depends on how that emotion comes up, because we can be angry and it can be completely justified. It can be completely okay in that situation to be angry. And so I'm not using it as a negative term. It's just an inappropriate action and emotion. And so with more self-awareness gives me the ability to know that it's happening, which gives me the ability and in turn to either shift away from it or process it and figure out where that's coming from. And so that's through a process called self-awareness and gaining more of it. Now, when we're talking about emotions with other people in conversation, I'm gaining more knowledge about how to be more empathetic and gaining empathy. And empathy is really like putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding where they're coming from. See, the word is different from sympathy, so don't get the 2 mixed up. Sympathy is when you just understand that somebody is upset. But when you're empathetic to somebody, you really feel and understand on a deeper level the emotions that they're feeling. And so by focusing on personal development, I've dedicated myself to greatness. And what that means to me is like, I know that I'm already great, but I have the humility to know that as I enter these different stages in my life, that it's going to require me to step my damn game up, right? And so I gain more knowledge and more experience in personal development by reading. Like I read every day, or at least every day, to some degree. I spend at least 15 minutes a day. It's part of my morning routine. I also go to seminars. I go to conferences. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm literally interviewing people face to face who have already got the results that I want to have in that space. And I'm just trying to download as much as I can out of their minds. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you've seen my live streams where I'm interviewing other top influencers in the industry. And so these are just some of the ways that I'm able to develop more skills in personal development. Number 3 is all about health and fitness. And I know I shouldn't have to explain why this is such a crucial part of living an abundant and rich life. But I'm going to do it anyways, but I'm not going to do it too much in depth because you know the deal. Okay, here's the truth, guys, and I may lose some friends over this, but I have no problem putting myself first, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Because I know that if I put my needs first and my priorities first, that by doing that, I'm going to be able to give such a better version of myself to everybody else. And if you feel like that's selfish, or if you feel like that's not serving, I want you to realize something, that you're probably not doing it in your own life. And I want you to ask yourself, because I don't put myself first, what does that do to my own goals, to my own ambitions? What does being a people pleaser do for myself? And tell me the positive side of being a people pleaser. It's hard to find one. It may feel good in the short term because you're making a difference in someone's life, but think about this. If you're dealing with people pleasing, like if you struggle with this, I want you to ask yourself, if I go and help somebody else first and say yes to them, what am I saying no to in my own life? Because that's the reality of this. Every time you say yes to somebody else, you're saying no to you. And by saying no to you, everything that you're working towards, your own agenda, your own vision and passions, those get set to the side while you go help somebody else. I struggled with people pleasing for a long time, like the majority of my life. And the reason that I struggled with being a people pleaser is because I wasn't happy on the inside. And the reason I wasn't happy on the inside was because I struggled the majority of my life from feeling unworthy. Yeah, that's the truth right there. I felt unworthy for the majority of my life. And that stemmed from my childhood. But another reason that I focus on my health and my fitness is for longevity. Like, let's be honest. I wanna live to be 100. Like, here's the truth, okay? When I'm 100 years old, I've got this fantasy of like laughing and dancing and like singing and like swinging around from shit and still being ripped, still having a six-pack, still killing it. But I know that if I don't take care of the temple first, that I'm going to die in regret at an early age. And I'm not about that. I'm not going to die with regret. And I know that if I show up and I focus on my body and my health, that I'm going to be better for me, number one. But I also got kids. And I know a lot of you guys have kids too. And who doesn't want to be around for their kids and their grandkids? We all do. So some of the action steps that I take to be on top of my health at all times is I'm running 3 days a week. I run 3 days a week. I don't ever work out with weights. So if I'm in the gym, I'm not doing anything in the weight room. I do pull-ups, push-ups, ninja stuff. I swing from stuff. I do yoga on Saturday mornings once a week. And I get a massage on Sunday. And that's my weekly routine, health and fitness-wise. That's all I do. This is number 4. This is another category that is going to lead to a more abundant life if you decide to put them first. And this is your family. Guys, I still have both of my parents. Still got my mom, still got my dad. I love them both to death. They mean the world to me. And they live in the same town as me. And so, right there, that alone is a huge blessing, because there's a lot of us that don't have our parents anymore. And so, as busy as I am, I still make time for them. And I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not always perfect about this, because I work in my passion, and therefore my mind runs 100 miles an hour in one direction sometimes. And I know that I get focused on that, but I still make time for my family. And the way that I do this that's really helped me is that I literally have reminders on my phone to call my mom, to call my dad, to call my brother, and just check in and just see how they're doing. You know, we've got it set up on a schedule now so that I see my dad on Thursdays. We have lunch together Thursdays. And right now my mom is writing a book, so I see her on Monday or Tuesday mornings over breakfast, and we talk about how her book's going. And so I'm super intentional with how I'm spending time with my family and making sure that they're still a part of my life, because I'm realizing that they're getting older now, and the time that they have left is very, very precious. And so I just encourage you that if you still have your parents and you're not seeing them as much, or you're in resistance to hanging out with them, or even picking up the phone to call them, call them. Because again, nobody wants to die in regret. I mean, think about this for a second. Like, have you ever been in front of somebody who is on their deathbed, who is at the end of their life, and has regret written all over their face? Do you know how heartbreaking that is, to know that you're about to die and there's nothing that you can do about it? Fuck. That's not going to be me, and I don't want that for you either. It's not just about being a dad, or it's not just about being a mom. It's about being a present and engaging mom or dad. Okay, guys, that's what this is about. It's about being present, being engaging. Let me show you a perfect example, and this melted my heart when I heard this. Okay? I was at school, at Dacia's school, my kid's school. I had a young girl come up to me, and she's like, she's like, what did she say? She's like, I was there for the whole day at school in her classroom, and she's like, you're the only grown-up that doesn't have their phone out when they're talking to me. That like broke my heart to hear that. And so I would just ask you, when you're with your kids, are you as present? Are you as engaging as you should be? And if not, now the next one, number five. This is all about relationships. And this one is super important for me because I used to struggle with this a lot. And I don't mean like personal relationships, but what I mean is not being such a lone wolf, not being the guy that thinks that they can just do everything themselves. Like, they don't need anybody else. They can do the websites. They can do all the advertising. They can do the back office. They can do everything. And if you run a business, if you're a professional or an entrepreneur, you know that you can't do everything. See, there's this old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's something that I'm learning more and more and more. And I'm just learning about how valuable relationships are with people, because I think that as humans, like we desire those relationships. It's in our DNA to have relationships. And for a lot of us who are in resistance to relationships, it creates a lot of dis-ease in our life. I mean, whether it's a personal or a private relationship, it doesn't matter. A lot of us resist having relationships. And we laugh it off like it's funny, or that we don't need anybody because we're so independent. Guys, I'm independent too, but I love relationships. I love being able to interact with people, because I need that in my life to feel fulfilled, to have that interaction with others. Because the more interaction that I have, the more that I'm able to gain empathy for other people's lives, which goes back to personal development, which goes back to being a better father, to being a better husband, a better wife, a better boyfriend, a better human being. Okay? So relationships are super important. So number 6 is all about your business or your career. And guys, this one is so simple, but it's so difficult at the same time. And so the only way that I really know how to say this is to do something you love. And I know that may sound super shallow to say, because it's like, well, duh, Dan, like everybody should be doing something they love. But you're right. Everybody should be doing what it is they love. I mean, think about this. Are you the kind of person that wakes up in the morning on a Monday dreading going to work? That wakes up on a Tuesday dreading going to work? That wakes up on a Wednesday dreading? That wakes up on Thursday, and then Friday comes around and you're like, yes, if I could just make it one more day, I'll be good. Is that how your week looks? And if it does, then maybe you should start thinking about what else you could be doing. Because yeah, it could be a job that's paying the bills and, you know, and all that, and that's great. I'm not saying you should not have a job, you know, but at the same time, what's your happiness worth? Because anytime that we take something instead of having what we really want, and what we're taking is affecting us negatively, it's called settling. And we're settling for less than what we could have if we really wanted it. And so I would just urge you to find your passion. Find something that you would wake up just jumping out of bed, ready to leave the house and do. Find your freaking passion. And once you find your passion, that becomes your purpose. And everything else becomes clearer. When you wake up in the morning and you know exactly what it is that you're about to do in the day and you're super stoked to do it, you fucking won. You've won. Like, I can't put that any simpler. You've won when you wake up and you're able to do what it is that you really want. And you don't have anybody telling you that you can't. And you don't got to go to work to some dumbass boss. You don't got to go and listen to any of your coworkers who just want to like sit at your cubicle and chat your ear off all morning when you're just still waking up. Guys, passion. Passion. That's where it's at. Now, some people will say, well, I don't know what the hell my passions are. I don't know what it is that I really want to be doing. Here's the easiest way that I know how to describe this, and the quickest way. If you can't think of anything right off the bat, I want you to think about what you used to love to do before your life fell off course. And if that still isn't enough, ask your friends. What is it that I'm really good at? What are my unique talents? What are my unique abilities? Start there. Now let's talk about number 7, and this one may be a little much for some people, but let's talk about finances. I know this is one area that nobody likes talking about, and I get it. Like, money is never fun to talk about, but let me ask you a question, and let me know in the comments, or give me some hearts on this one. Do you shop or spend money out of stress, out of anxiety, out of any negative emotion that comforts you? Do you shop or spend money? I'll be the first to put a heart up. Guys, I did this when I was going through all of my drama. I racked up like $40,000 in credit card debt because that's how I thought that I would find happiness, is by buying things. It's ridiculous. And it wasn't until I was really able to get a hold of my finances that I started living a different life and how I viewed money. See, for me, money is not something where I want to have it because it represents a status or a symbol for me. For me, money is a tool. And as a tool, it allows me to give and create more of an impact on the world. And so what I was able to do is really just automate my money and figure out, okay, if I have, let's say, X amount of dollars coming in on this day, I created the systems to allow my money to work for me. to go to online accounts, to go to savings accounts, to go to checking accounts, so that all of my bills are paid without me having to physically pick up a phone, go onto a mobile app to make a payment. Guys, I set it up so where my check comes into my account and I don't touch anything. Everything does its own thing for me. And because of that, I've reduced so much stress in my life. I don't ever have to worry about being late on a payment. My credit score is immaculate because I set up the systems early on that now just run for me. And it's something that I literally spend, I don't know, maybe an hour a month doing. So guys, if you want to get your money right, if you want to get on track financially and take a ton of stress off of your life, you've got to automate. And this is something that I talk about in the Mindset Mastery Blueprint. Something that I've created that I'm going to give you access to if you choose at the end of the week. And I'm going to show you exactly how to set up the systems so that you never have to worry about your money again. It's pretty sweet. Now, the last and final way that you can really live in abundance and really just live at peak performance past 30 is with hobbies. And this is all about you time. This is all about you, nobody else. This is like the one area of your life where you get to be selfish, because I want you to go back to your childhood and think about things that you used to love to do. Like, what is it that you really loved as a kid? Like, for me, it was playing baseball. For me, it was riding my bike. For me, it was climbing trees. And so if you can keep that youthful advantage and that youthful mindset about you and have fun doing some of the stuff that you did as a kid, you will always have that mentality, that childish, fun, happy-go-lucky mentality without feeling like you're being judged by others. And see, that's why I love Ninja Warrior so much, is because I literally get to play on big kid obstacles all day. And I friggin' love it. It's so much fun going through monkey bars and climbing ropes. And yeah, it takes some sort of physical capacity, but at the same time, it's such an incredible feeling to it just feels free. Like I just feel free. And so I would stress to you that whatever hobbies that you have, exploit them and do them regularly. Like, set specific days and times where you go to these hobbies and you just forget about the rest of the world and just play and be a kid and laugh and dance and sing and paint and draw and whatever. Just be a kid. It doesn't matter how old you are, just be a kid. And those are the 8 ways how you can really live past 30 in those main 8 categories: spiritual health, personal development, health and fitness, family, business or your career, relationships, hobbies, and your finances. If you can get clarity in each one of those areas, then you will start living a completely different life, I promise you. But see, you can't just have 7 and forget about 1. You can't have 6 and forget about 2. You guys have to have all of these figured out. And I'm not saying you have to have them all figured out by tomorrow. But if there's one of those 8 areas that you're missing right now in your life, I want you to start thinking, how can I improve my situation so that I can start living and breathing into that category even more?